Hello, everyone, and welcome to Thoughts and Coffee. My name is Sarah Barnes-Humphrey. I'm the founder and host of Let's Talk Supply Chain, the Blended podcast, and also the founder of the Blended Pledge. And I'm super excited to be here with you today. We've got some brand new show announcements. That's right. We've got a brand new show that's coming out tomorrow, and you're going to meet the host on our show today. And I can't wait to introduce you. But before that, we've got some business to get to. And so I want to talk about, first of all, our show sponsor, Secret Society of Supply Chain. Head over to secretsocietyofsupplychain.com and become a member. We are having a great time in our community. If you're not a member yet, head over there, sign up. It's free for the Secret Society of Supply Chain. And then we've also got our Women in Supply Chain connections as well. We are putting together some very, very cool experiences for our Secret Society of Supply Chain members for 2026. So make sure you get in there because you got to be a member to attend. And we can't wait to see everybody. Want to give a shout out to our new Secret Society of Supply Chain members. We've got Ibrar Khan, we've got Vidula Shetty, we've got Chris Harbert as well. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, let's get to what's new at Let's Talk Supply Chain. So we've got a brand new episode. We've actually got two brand new episodes. That's right. Episode 502. Now, this is with Jason from ShipBM, current success versus future potential, finding the AI balance with ShipBM. Now, if you missed the last episode, I think it was about a month ago, he was talking about agentic AI and what it means to business, but how it can actually be useful and how you should be thinking about AI. This episode takes us a little bit deeper into how you should be thinking about using AI or working with vendors and partners on how to utilize AI to the fullest potential. So go and check that out. Episode 502, wherever you listen and watch the show, Let's Talk Supply Chain YouTube. We've also got episode 503. This is our Woman in Supply Chain episode with Andrea. And we talk all about her journey. This was a great one. She shared a lot of really great insights. We got to understand a little bit more how she got to her position today throughout her career and what that looked like. It was definitely not a straight line. So highly recommend you go and check this one out. Remember, you can listen on Apple and Spotify, or you can watch it over at the Let's Talk Supply Chain YouTube page. What's next? Well, here's where we're going to be in person. This week, I'm going to be at the Woman in Supply Chain Forum, literally starting right after this show. I'm running out the door and I'm heading to Clearwater to see everybody. Now, Katie Date and I have a workshop happening on Thursday morning, and so hopefully we'll see everybody there. And then, of course, we've got Manifest February 9th through 11th in Las Vegas. Go and check it out. We've got an announcement. I think it's supposed to come out this week, and I really, really want to tell you about it. And hopefully I can tell you about it on the show next Tuesday, because we've got a lot to talk about in regards to what we're doing at Manifest and who we're partnering, and there's a new launch of something. Anyways, I can't wait to share that with you. And hopefully I'm going to see you there. We're actually going to be doing a Woman in Supply Chain dinner on the Monday night. So if you're going and you'd like to come, please let us know and we can send you the registration link. All right. I think I wanted to share this because our team has been putting together some really, really awesome carousels in relation to supply chain and how we're thinking about supply chain and how we can relate it back to what we're doing in our everyday. And I thought this one was cute and I wanted to share it with you. We're going to put the link in the comments to all of this so you can go and check it out. If supply chain were in a relationship, and it goes through communication and visibility, promises and forecasts, showing up on time delivery, and it's super cute. So I hope you go and check that out. Anyways, without further ado, it's now time for us to bring up our guest for today. Welcome, Chris. Thanks for joining us on the show today.
Morning, Sarah. Thanks for having me.
How you doing? Where in the world are you today?
I'm living the dream. That's I am in Baton Rouge, Louisiana today. So out visiting folks today.
Awesome. I love that. And we're going to talk about this in just a minute because you were in Boston, I think just yesterday. I mean, you are traveling so much. Why don't you tell everybody who you are, what you do, and a little bit about the company?
So Chris Hamley, I am the managing partner of the Brecham Group, which is really just that. I'm in charge. My my name comprises part of the company name, so I guess I get to be in charge. So we specialize in supply chain operations, which is really a fancy word for we move boxes around a lot. I grew up in the industry, and we built a group of folks around having a lot of really practical experience doing this, as well as some technical backgrounds. And we do something called precision supply chain operations. And ultimately, we come help people just get better at what they do.
Awesome. I love that. And I know that everybody's looking to optimize. So that's really, really important right now. Now, quickly, before we get into the poll, I forgot to mention the QR code in the top right-hand corner. It's going to change in just a minute because we want to send you to the Brecham group. But before we do that, it's going to take you to my new book, which is a bestseller. I hope that you click that QR code and go and get your copy because I'd love to hear from you on that as well. All right, Chris, it's now time for us to get to the poll of the week. Now, we ask our audience a question every single Wednesday morning. So this question, performance paradox, a roadmap for supply chain operations to suck less. What thoughts come to mind? Now, that is actually the title of your new show that we're going to be announcing in just a few minutes. And so I love this question because we wanted to see what kind of reaction we got from the audience. Now, 44% of you said incremental improvements. 26% of you said automation assessment. 18% of you said peak efficiency achieved. And 13% said leadership training. Chris, did this surprise you? What did you think about the results? And is any of it true?
Well, I think that's the question for everybody. Is any of it true, actually? But no, actually, I'm not all that surprised, actually. Look at the results. I think the one that jumps out is the automation side of it. When you say things like suck less, it does. It comes back to kind of just a process improvement mantra of how do we get a little better every day. And, for me, I started using that line a couple of decades ago, actually. And it really started this easy. Our day-to-day lives just kind of sucked. And I went to our leadership team and basically said, hey, let's just make tomorrow suck less. Right. Let's just start with something simple. And I ask everybody just to go out and do a little bit more to get better. And what can you do today to make tomorrow different? And that turned into kind of who we became, actually. So.
Wow, I love that story. And it's so true, right? We really just want to make sure that our day-to-day is something that we want to get out of bed for. We want to show up for every single day. And I think, it's, excuse me, it's all about baby steps, right? So if we say, how does it suck less today? And then we take that into tomorrow, then it's just going to get better and better and better and better, right?
Absolutely. And, part of what we talked about in the performance paradox is that people always want to get better. I've never been into a supply chain operation or anywhere really where people didn't want to get better. And the paradox is really around how do you do that? How do you actually take those baby steps and start doing something to get better? And for us, the suck less mantra came out of that idea, but ultimately it's that, hey, let's go figure out the best path. It doesn't always have to be something big, but let's go do something. Right?
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we've already put a couple of folks on screen. We'd love to know where you're tuning in from. And of course, as always, if you love the conversation, we want to see some fire emojis in the comments because we love ourselves some fire emojis. Want to give a shout out to Ergun over on my personal LinkedIn. Thanks so much for showing up. They also said that they bought my book, so I really appreciate that too. That's awesome. Now's the time of the show where I ask for a little bit of a market update. Now, we talked about how much you are traveling. I think you said Baton Rouge today. You were in Boston yesterday. You were at the Locus Robotics Conference, which is really cool. We've got some friends over there as well. What's on top of everybody's mind right now? What's everybody thinking about? I mean, realistically, we're in November 2025, right before Thanksgiving. So things start, winding down after that, heading into 2026. What's on everybody's mind, Chris? Tell us.
Well, I think there are probably two topics. I mean, kind of the industry for the past 6 months has been all about automation, right? How do we do more with the cooler tools that are out there these days? And then the other thing, just given the time of year, is e-com peak. A ton of people are talking about, what the next 2 weeks are going to look like for them. So.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I don't think you can get through this time of year without talking about peak. I want to give a shout out to Wendy. She's already in Clearwater for the Women in Supply Chain Forum. Thanks for tuning in this morning. I am on my way, kind of. I mean, I'm doing this show and then I'll be on my way. What else is sort of top of mind? What else was everybody talking about? Now, I've been talking about robotics a lot recently. Does it look like there's going to be more and more investment in robotics? Is it top of mind? Is it the technology that everybody's sort of looking at implementing in 2026? What does that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, we continue to look at best ways to put robotics in, automate things, and new applications for it. I mean, I see every week a different application of something that may have been around for a few years now, but the products keep getting better and more sophisticated, and the software support, it keeps getting better. And I think we're going to see some interesting things in the coming years.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also it's a bit of a toss up too, because everybody's looking at their investments for 2026. Where do we spend the money? What does that look like? What do we want to invest in? What's going to give us the most ROI, right? And we're going to be talking about a healthcare example in just a few minutes. But before we do that, where is everybody on the roadmap to AI versus robotics versus other technology?
I think that's a $64 million question right now. It's where do I go invest, and where do I start looking for those applications? There's just so much in the market right now, and it changes so quickly these days, right? I mean, you think of the pace of change that we've had over the past 5 years, really, right? It is amazing, and it can be a little overwhelming at times for people. Of what do I go do? How should I think about this? Which solutions are best for me? It's one of the things we help people kind of figure out is ultimately, what is the best application that's in the market right now that fits your business and your application? Because there are just so many choices, and they're all good in the right application.
Yeah, there is so many. And it's actually one of the biggest topics that I talk to leaders in the supply chain about, is the fact that they are overwhelmed. There's a lot of choices. They're not entirely sure which one would actually fit what they need for their supply chains, because I feel like supply chains are unique to every organization. And every organization is using their supply chains as a competitive advantage. And so which is the investment that's going to give us the most ROI? But then also, I feel like they need to make sure that they've got a safe space for innovation, in the fact that we need to test things. Right? Because I don't think from just conversations or necessarily just seeing it in practice, you really want to be able to touch and feel it and figure out, if it's the answer to the questions that you have, or help solve the problems around the process that you've put together.
Yeah, without a doubt. It's everything sounds great, right? When you talk through the process and look at it, and the question really is how it will perform in my environment. Will it get the results that I'm looking for? And testing it in that safe space is critical, right? If you have that opportunity, you have an advantage. Unfortunately, not everybody has that opportunity to kind of do that. You've got to make decisions sooner and commit faster in order to kind of get in the queue, right? I think the idea, though, is how do you make that thoughtful kind of industry-wide view of what's the right application early in the process? It's why I spend so much time on the road. One of the reasons I spend a lot of time on the road, it's that you've got to go see this stuff and touch it and understand what's out there to understand exactly how it's going to perform in certain environments. And, unfortunately, not everybody has that opportunity. That's why they get to hire people like us who do that. So.
Yeah. Well, I actually want to talk to you. We're going to put a pin on that right now, because after we end this show, I want to talk to you about something, because I've been thinking about this a lot. We bring, the vendors in the space and the buyers in this space, we bring them together through conversation. And I think there's other ways that we can do it. And so I want to talk to you about this after the show. We got our first fire emoji. Thank you to that LinkedIn user that gave that to us. They're loving the show so far. So let's give them a little bit more, Chris. I think we've got a bit of an announcement, which means that Chris is going to be hosting a live show, a regular live show with Let's Talk Supply Chain. Chain, and it's going to happen the third Wednesday of every month at 2 p.m. Eastern. And so what does that mean for you? Well, the first show airs tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern. Now, we're going to put the link in the comments. Go and click the attend button, even if you can't attend live, because we want to make sure that we can send you the link to go and watch the show once it's over. It's also going to be on our Let's Talk Supply Chain YouTube page. I think it's going to be on the Brecham pages as well. And this first episode, so talk to us about this show, Chris. Like, you're one of our newest hosts. People are just starting to get to know you. What is this show? Why did you do this show? Why do you want to do it? What do you hope people take away from it?
Well, it's kind of an interesting story, actually. So we have an interesting group of people, both that have been in the industry for a long time in a lot of different capacities over the years. That's our team ultimately. And we come to the table with a lot of kind of practical knowledge of how things work. And we're always amazed when we go talk to clients, just the things that we're able to accidentally teach them and train them in that process. And we wanted to create a format just to do that. Let's talk about kind of real problems and real solutions. And if our money and our process, what would we go do to fix things? Right. This might be a horrible idea, but it should be entertaining, if nothing else. I think our guys are, like I said, they're interesting people on top of having good experience in the space we're in. So it should be a lot of fun.
I think it's going to be great. I mean, at the end of the day, you talk to a lot of different companies. And so you're really able to bring the conversation into what is touching those leaders, those practitioners, those professionals right now, and having actual practical conversations about how they're going to be able to solve for some of those issues as well. Because I think you're going to be sharing some of those some of that magic on the show so that people can take it back and really use it in their day-to-day. And so I think that's awesome. Give us a bit of a preview as to what the first show is going to look like tomorrow. Like, who is your guest? What does that look like?
So we're starting with three of our team, industry veterans that have been doing this for 30 years. That again, also just kind of interesting people on the side. But our goal is to come in, inform them kind of what we do, how we go about doing it, and talk through a handful of just real life examples of what we see every day and just practical approaches people can take to fixing things. Right. We also have our Suck Less segment in it, which is, here's the one thing that we were surprised by this week, almost. And we get surprised a lot, just for the record. But
you do. I mean, being in the industry as long as we have, you still get surprised by stuff. I mean, I know you're going to share it tomorrow, but if there's any way that you can give us a little bit of a preview into what you're going to share, I would love that.
Awesome. Yeah. No, so as we think about, some of the things that surprise us actually, and my joke is that the number one thing we usually recommend to people is stop that. There's always that one thing that somebody's doing. It's like, you just need to make that go away. And we'll have a couple of examples we've seen over the past week of, our recommendation is, boy, if it hurts when you hit yourself in the head, stop hitting yourself in the head kind of approach to things, right?
You mean hitting your head against the wall?
Okay, let's go.
That is so funny. I love that. So yeah, we put the link in the comments. If you're over on my personal LinkedIn, we're going to put that link in the comments right after the show. So go and click the attend button. Join Chris for his first show tomorrow. I think it's going to be awesome. I think you're really going to be able to take some takeaways, some practical advice, and really turn them into some actions over on your side as well. So I'm super excited for this show and so excited to have the Brecham Group on, part of the Let's Talk Supply Chain family. I think it's going to be great. And Chris, you're going to do a great job. For anybody who is taking a look at the QR code right now, go and take a picture or however that works with the QR code and go and check out a little bit more about Brecham Group before the show tomorrow, because you know how we love really, really good questions, and we'd love to see you all over there tomorrow asking all the questions. All right, now it's time to get to our next article. Now, this is a case study that the Brecham Group put together, and I'm hoping that you're going to talk about this a little bit more on the show at some point, because I think that this is really, really cool. Now, you talk about a Fortune 100 company within the healthcare space. You're talking about a problem, you're talking about a solution, you've talked about the ROI and benefits, but you also are talking about 5 initiatives. And so I want to go through really quickly, like, what was the problem, what was the solution, ROI and benefits, and then I want to focus on the 5 initiatives, because I think those are things that people can practically take away from this conversation and put it into actual practice. So talk to us about this, Chris.
Yeah, this was a large network of DCs, and ultimately the challenge is how do we run a network-wide program and go figure out how just to make them better? And our target was, how do we go save labor? Ultimately, how do we take cost out of the operation? And when we started with an evaluation process, we go through and we visited a few DCs and spent some time actually learning the processes and obstacles that they were faced with every day. And what we saw kind of universally across the network were that there were a handful of common problems that everybody was experiencing. So just because by virtue of, hey, if everybody's having that problem, let's solve that problem. That's the fastest network approach we can take. And yeah, we identified these 5 key areas, and we identified the areas, we put values to those. We start looking at, here's what the actual impact's going to be. Here's what it does to cost, service, the people, the work environment for folks, and helped the organization really prioritize these, and ultimately put a roadmap together to, here's how we're going to go roll this out and hit the entire network very quickly and drive change. So our key initiatives in that, those 5 things were really basic kind of blocking and tackling issues. It was what we call process control, which is first and foremost just, are we doing all the things we say we do every day? It's cascading KPIs, and cascading KPIs for us. Every organization in the world is really good generally at 2 components. They're good at managing how a facility performs, if it's winning or losing, and we're really good at the employee level of, how is that person contributing to us? And where we often fail is there's a disconnect between the building and the employee level, and how do the leaders each get measured individually, and are they making the right decision based on the metrics and how it affects the overall operation? So we help build a structure of KPIs and reporting, and how do we go talk to people about how they're actually driving the outcome of the operation for us.
I love that. So process control was one of them. What were the other 4? Can you share with us the other 4 key initiatives?
Yeah, cascaded KPIs, slotting. We talked just about communication and staff deployment. Communication is, how does the cadence of meetings go? Are we having startup meetings? What do we talk about? What's our frequency of touching people every day? And then finally, sorry, I lost it. Slotting was just about that. It's about where we put product in the building and how best to affect the labor.
Yeah.
And staff deployment, which is simply just making sure we put the right number of people in every role every day to be successful. Right.
So I have a question about that communication in the meetings one, because I hear this all the time. We are just having meetings to have meetings, and we have too many meetings and nobody can get any work done. Is that what this went over? Did that question come up? Because I think it's a really important one.
No, it absolutely. And you're right. I mean, the first problem we usually see is we tell people to have fewer meetings ultimately, right? But the meetings we have need to be very specific and targeted with what we're doing. Our leaders inside the distribution center really need to be interacting with employees. They really need to be out talking and walking and understanding what's happening, and help address issues and help empower them to go get better, right?
Yeah.
And so many of our meetings are, I would say, really nonsense at the end of the day. They don't help us drive the end result. And we have fallen into this idea that we need to include everybody in every conversation. Well, if 6 hours every day are tied up with meetings amongst the management team, they're not really doing their primary job, right, of being out and helping participate in the operation, helping their teams get better.
Yeah.
So what we do is we usually ask for people to be on point with who they invite to what, right? Why they have meetings, but then have a really structured and formal communication process of, hey, we're going to have a weekly huddle meeting that has just the leadership team in it, and we're going to talk about those operational performance, and then give everybody else the rest of the week to go fix all that stuff, go do the things we talked about in that meeting, right?
Yes. Yes. I love that approach. I've talked to too many leaders who are burnt out and just very frustrated because they're in meetings for most part of the day and then they don't have time to actually go and do the job. And this is like day in and day out. And I think we really need to be a lot more mindful of that. So I'm glad that is one of your 5 initiatives. All right. We've got a couple minutes left and I do want to spend a little bit of time on this last article. And so this one I wanted to share with you. I thought it was a little bit of fun. India's Airbound. It's a company called Airbound, and they are building drones for deliveries. Now, they've come out and said that they are looking to drive the cost down of deliveries to 1 cent. Now, this is not even the biggest part of this article. I think when I started reading this, what I didn't realize was that the CEO or the founder of this particular company founded it in 2020. He founded it at 15 years old. So if we think we're too young in the industry, think again, because this guy, he created a company that of drones. And actually, he's now 20 years old, I believe. But the path to success for them was through winning grants. And I think they even got denied by Y Combinator, but he was able to get a term sheet at 18. And so that was 2 years ago. Chris, what did you think about this article? I thought it was fascinating.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. It was fascinating and amazing, right? To have somebody kind of that young kind of do something revolutionary in our space is amazing, right?
Yeah.
It just goes to show you there's always a great idea out there, and sometimes they come from very unlikely sources and places, and we need to listen to all that, right?
Yeah. Well, I think the other really interesting thing was he's approaching it intentionally around how energy is used to move goods, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about alternative fuel options. We're talking about EVs. We're talking about how we're moving goods. And we're also talking about sustainability initiatives and KPIs and things like that. But what I haven't heard was how he's sort of phrasing it around how do we use energy? How is energy used to move goods? And I think that's a really important point or something to think about as we think about our sustainability initiatives, our supply chain strategies, et cetera, et cetera. What does that look like? How are we using our energy? How much energy are we using to move the goods as well? One other really cool note on this is that they aim to do 1 million deliveries a day by 2027. And until they do that, they won't be entering the US market. So any other thoughts on this, Chris?
I think it's an amazing idea, and something that, we have to get more creative with it. I think, in some of your more recent podcasts, you've talked about the transportation spend and what it looks like in the market. And 2, anything we can do to take cost out of that, and cost very often is really about sustainability. It's about energy usage ultimately, right? That drives a lot of that cost structure. And yeah, I think anything we can do is great. We'll see, right? I think there are a lot of obstacles to overcome, and how would you actually use things like this, that kind of stuff. But
yeah, well, there is a weight limitation. Let's just put that out there. But I just want to say, when it comes to last mile, we're already up against sort of that Amazon effect that everybody talks about. And now the future we might be up against 1 cent deliveries. Which is crazy to me because we're already losing money on deliveries and returns. So I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is even thinking about weather, right? What's that mean? Sure. How many days a year could you actually deliver with it, right?
And where can you do that? Like, where has the best weather that we can get? Because they were talking about, actually, it's a really good point. They were talking about delivering food. And I was like, if it's raining, I'm going to get soggy food at the end of it. Like, that's not going to be good for anybody.
Well, and the other thing is, think about if it's 110 degrees outside as well.
That's true.
Everything's pre-baked by the time you get it.
I'm really worried about everybody's tummies. Anyways, go and check out that article. We put the link in the comments. We'll be doing that after the show on my personal LinkedIn. Chris, welcome to the Let's Talk Supply Chain family. Good luck with your show, your first show tomorrow. We're hoping that everybody who joined us today will be joining us for tomorrow as well. And we can't wait to see what you have in store for us. Thank you so much to everybody who tuned in today. I will be back live on Tuesday. And I can't wait to see you. Chris, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Bye, everybody.